What is going on, you guys? And we are here for a little bit of story time. Wow, that was a little bit off, but um, I'm just curious if you guys would like to go down and hit that like button for me. I'd be really appreciate it if you guys do hit the like button. It helps my channel grow a lot. My ratings have been going down like crazy lately, so I really do ask that of you. Um, and thank you for joining me in Bike Park. Not very many people come to watch Bike Park. It is kind of like the subscriber special, I'd almost call it. Because the ones who watch it are kind of the ones that really are here for the channel, not just the information on streets, especially like an episode like this where I am just kind of talking about telling a story or personal experience or something of that nature. Um, so yeah, let's get right into it. This is going to be about how I got into BMX. Actually, if you have me on PlayStation, go ahead and add me, BMX Lifestyle 11 on PSN. I play PS3, and I'm thinking about getting the PS4. I don't know, it's $400, $300 or whatever that I don't want to spend. But my brother has one, and a few of my friends do, and I'd like to get one for YouTube purposes. But we'll have to see. But go ahead and add me on PSN. And before I'm about to make a video, sometimes I'll send out a mass message to all my friends on there and ask what they'd like me to talk about, if they have any ideas for topics. And one that I got a little while back was how I got into BMX. I never did answer it because I had a couple other videos that need to be made first, but now I am going to be able to address that I have the time. So I'm gonna start off in, I'd say, second grade, maybe, elementary school, grade school. And so my brother's always been a skateboarder. I grew up at a farmhouse for my first up until, okay, so I was born in Colorado, and I lived there until I was about 2. So it was really fun. Like, I was way too young for any really real memories to develop there. And from there, I moved to a small farmhouse. There's no animals, or there's crops all around us, I guess, but we didn't have any actual farm land. It was just an old farmhouse, and I lived there until first grade. So I have quite a few memories there. I'd had a lot of time to spend there when I was young, and I really am happy that I grew up there, anyways, for that small portion of my time. So I did get to experience living out in the country. Which is a lot of fun for people that have grown up in the city. But anyways, so from there we moved to a really small town. Once again, still in Iowa. Both of those were in Iowa. Moved to a small house inside, or a town a house in a small town. Tripping over my words already this episode. But I lived there up until was it sophomore year, I believe. Freshman or sophomore year, I think, and then I moved to a different house in the same town. So from there, so I've grown up in a small town, so I've always been able to kind of explore around the town. Like, ever since I've been a kid, I've always been able to ride my bike around town and do kind of whatever I wanted, being that we're in the safety of a small town. But my brother has been a skateboarder always at the farmhouse. Remember, he'd go out on like the little cement patio that we had out front, and he'd just practice tricks in that over and over and over again. And I remember when we were kids, it was a really cold day, and he did an ollie, and his wheels broke, like just shot off in different directions. One of those weird things that you always remember. So my brother's always been a skateboarder. He still is. If you subscribe to him on his channel, I'm pretty sure there's a link in my description at all times. Cole Schaefer, I think is what his channel's called. But I've always, and as a little brother, you always look up to your big brother and kind of copy them in a way. You really do. So as a kid, I always thought it was cool that he skateboarded, and of course I tried as well. And first or second through maybe middle school, I skateboarded, and I never really got into tricks too much, to be completely honest. I just liked pushing around town. Ollie up curbs. I could do a heel flip at one point in time. I could do shove-its. So I've always kind of skateboarded, and I always liked it. I kind of trying to keep up with my brother in a way. And it was probably middle school when I I really did start trying to learn tricks. I realized that I'm to the age to where it's about time I do start learning tricks. So it was just kind of weird if I was pushed around town all day. Um, so I started to try and learn tricks, and the problem was is I learned to ride really weird. I learned to ride and do manuals and like push around town, like get going really fast down the road, popping manuals and stuff, just like casually ride and have good balance on the board, riding goofy. But I learned how to do tricks regular. So whenever I switch over to do an ollie or a heel flip, I'd have to switch over to regular, which would be like spin and look the opposite direction on the board. So it kind of really messed with me, and it made it hard for me it kind of ruined my skating experience, because if you could imagine, it's no fun when you're riding along and you can't ollie up a curb without having to switch your position. And then when you do switch your position, lose all your balance and everything that you've learned in the past years on how to ride and control the board. And then all that goes right out the window because you switch over to the other riding style. So that kind of killed my vibe for it, and I think about mid-middle school is when I just quit. I stopped riding. I'd ride pretty often, and it was probably about mid-middle school, and I laid off it. I didn't really ride as much. Maybe if I was skateboarding somewhere, like using it as transportation, is about the only time I ever would skate. And so I kind of died off from it, but I still loved the scene of it. I still loved the whole like atmosphere of the skateboarding feel, and I wasn't ready to quit that necessarily. And me and my friends, living in a small town, that's about all there was to do for us, is we just pedal around town all day long on our bikes. And I was always the kid with a BMX bike, and I always kind of strived, because I've always been an adrenaline junkie ever since I was a kid, being on scooters, skateboards, motorcycles, dirt bikes. Me and my brother both had the mindset of, you get something with wheels, and the first thing you think is, how can I push this to the limit, What can I jump this off of, or how fast can I get this going? We've always had that mindset. Whenever we'd be on bike rides, I'd always be the one trying to do wheelies, and I'd find the big jumps on the side of the road, like the bad cement where like the cement cracked and kind of raised up, and I'd hit that as a jump. And I was always that kid. We'd go to the skate park and take our bikes off the jumps, and I was always that kid. So from there, I kind of continued to be jumping off the curbs and hitting little jumps here and there and pushing the ramps further and further apart at the skate park and catching more air in between. And I was always that kid. And then I kind of evolved into trying bunny hops just so I could get up curbs. That was the sole purpose. I kind of learned the feel of it from hopping off curbs, and eventually I got to the point where I'd go off the curbs and I wouldn't just lift up my wheel, I'd kind of tuck up. And from there I developed the thought of a bunny hop. And I started to learn about that, and I didn't have, at this time, I didn't watch YouTube, we were probably the last generation that wasn't super tech savvy at this age, so I had never seen BMX before, really. To me, all I knew is that I was jumping my bike, I didn't know it was called a bunny hop, I didn't know anything about it, I just wanted to be able to be riding and be able to jump up a curb, just for, the ease of it, and, of course, to look cool in front of my friends. So I kind of worked on that day and day, and I'd just be riding, hopping over little cracks, doing little bunny hops, and getting higher and higher as I practiced it, without really even knowing what I was doing. And I remember then the one day I finally had the courage, I went and I tried to hop up a curb, and I cleared it, and I was so excited, and we rode bikes a little more, and I told my friends I had to go, came pedaling home, and hopped up the curb into the grass in my front yard, and hopped up the curb and landed, and all excited, pumped up that I got that one really clean, and threw my bike down and kind of ran into the house and told my brother, I finally hop up a curb. And my brother was like, you just now able to do that? And my heart sunk. I was just destroyed by it. I was so excited, and it was kind of to me, it was the ollie of riding my bike. It was the first step or whatever. So I was super excited that I got it. And I was really excited. I've always, as a little brother, you kind of look up to your big brother. And I remember kind of telling that, and he kind of blew it off, because he's been a skateboarder. He obviously could ride a bike smoother, fluently like that. And he was at the age, he was probably 16 or something like that, so he's a punk, Most skateboarders hit that, or even most teenagers hit that stage when they're about that age of just being jerks. And so I that kind of let me down and kind of killed it. So I was like really sad about that. And then probably about 2 months after that, my dad's friend was a dumpster diver. He's a really interesting character. That's to say the least, Gary. And he had found a mosh bike. It was like a flatland bike. I'm pretty sure was what it actually was. But he had gave it to me because my bike was an old Mongoose beat up. And he gave me that, and he told me that was a really nice bike. Some rich kid threw in the dumpster because I had a bent rim. So I took my Mongoose rim off, not even knowing if it would be able to work. As a kid, you're like, I don't know, can I switch wheels on a bike? Like, I don't think it's going to hurt anything. So I switched my Mongoose wheel and put it on and replaced the bent rim. And I rode that mosh bike, and I rode that bike like hell. That's when I finally started realizing that BMX was sport, and this bike was a tank. It was heavy. But then probably a couple months after that, Ezra came to our town, and it's a town of a population of like 2,000. It's just a complete hillbilly town, so BMX is unheard of. Skateboarding, about the only ones were skateboarding with my brother and his friends. So those are really like something like that is completely new. And somebody came, Ezra. He came from Alaska, and he came to live with his brother. He was 17 at the time, I believe, and he rode BMX, and he was pretty good. He was probably about the stage that I'm at now, maybe a little worse than what I am now. He could 180 big, he could air the gaps. Tabletop, he had high hops, he could grind, he could do feebles anyways. And he came to the town, and I remember seeing him riding around town. He had a bright blue and orange bike, like a teal and orange bike. And I love the color scheme of that bike, and I still do. But he'd ride around town, and he'd be at the skate park, and I always hung out at the skate park as a kid. And by the skate park, I mean like it's like 3 metal ramps and a metal box, sitting in the winter part or in the pool parking lot in the winter and in the school parking lot in the summer. Hardly a skate park at all, but it was cool. Our town had it. My brother and his friends did a ton of fundraisers to be able to get it. So me hanging out at the skate park eventually saw him coming, and he'd come and be doing these big jumps on his bike and spins and tricks and whatever. And as a kid, I was just blown away by it and loved it. So eventually, I kind of talked to him and asked him how he did it or whatever. And he kind of told me what I actually had for a bike, that it was a decent brand, an old brand, Flatland brand. And I kind of got to talking to him, and then I kind of go to the skate park every day and wait for him to show up, and I'd wait, and finally he'd get there, like no time plans at all. I just hoped that he'd show, so I could watch him and I could learn from him or whatever. And eventually I got his phone number so I could text him and ask if he was going out to ride, and kind of pick some knowledge off him. And he really did show me the ins and outs of BMX. At the time, I was just a fat, chubby little kid. I was falling away from skateboarding. I didn't really like school sports. And if I didn't get into BMX, I don't know what I would necessarily be right about now. I don't know. I might have turned into a video game nerd. I really loved video games at the time, but most kids do at that age. So I'm not sure where I'd be right now. I don't know if I would have lost all the weight that I had when I was a kid. I was a really chubby kid, all the way up until probably 7th or 8th grade. So I don't know where I would have been, but anyways, I had so I'd kind of ride with him, and he'd show me the ins and outs, and he taught me videos to look up on YouTube. And I remember when I was with one of my friends, I think it was Tristan, way back when. This was before he was into BMX at all still. We were watching a video, and it was Mike111, I think was his YouTube name. And I looked up how to G-turn, and I remember seeing that trick and be like, I'm going to learn that trick. And as a kid, my friends were like, yeah, all right, I'm sure you are. But it was the first trick I learned. I kept trying and eventually got it. So BMX was kind of my alternative to skateboarding, because I never really got into skating after that. And I still do push around town on a skateboard every now and again. But yeah, so that's how I got into BMX. Most BMXers do come from skateboarding. It's definitely common for BMXers to come from that. But that's my story. That's the main. That's the gist of it. And from there, practice, practice, practice. Eventually, started going to skate parks, meeting friends. It's a cool sport. If you're just getting into it, or if you're at a stump right now, I'd say don't give up. Keep pushing through it. Don't try to progress. Just let the progression happen. Just go out, ride, and have fun. Listen to music. Hang out with some friends. So, hopefully, you guys have enjoyed this story. Let me know how you became into, or how you got into BMX, if you are into BMX. And thanks a lot for watching, you guys. Make sure and leave a like if you've enjoyed the video, and check out my other videos. Don't forget to subscribe if you're not. And thank you so much for watching, you guys. I will catch you in the next one. Peace.